Yo, what's up, y'all? It's day 5 today, and I want to get straight into the workout. After the workout, I have something I want to talk about in the closing thoughts. But for now, let's get into the workout. Okay. 10 push-ups and still struggling on that pull-up. I feel like I was struggling even harder today than yesterday. I wonder when that first pull-up is going to be easy. It'll happen. Um, yeah, I want to talk about something that came up today and something that has been a part of my story. It's all kind of like related, right? I started day one talking about how I'm broke. Um, One thing that is kind of connected to being broke is this habit that I've had um, to borrow money from my friends. You know, I've used the money that I've borrowed from friends for drinking alcohol or a lot of times to gamble. And I guess that's the main topic here. Well, it's two topics. It's the idea of borrowing money, accruing a debt, and also the topic of gambling. So it's 2026 now, and since the start of this year, I've had in the back of my mind that I don't want to borrow from friends this year because that became such a kind of corrosive habit that I developed. Um, I would, yeah, I mean, I have like no money, and then I ask my friends for money, and then I use that for purposes that are not necessarily, you know, constructive. Especially from the outside, they can be viewed as destructive. Um, and, there have been many mornings this year where I've woken up and felt the desire to borrow some more money. Um, it's kind of hard to talk about because there's a there's like a lot of like emotions tied up into it. I think when you're broke and have no really like freedom, like when you don't have money in your at your fingertips, like you're kind of constrained in terms of what you can actually do in life, right? And so getting a loan or borrowing money from friends kind of opens up the possibilities as to what your day can look like. And so yeah, I was feeling the desire to borrow money a few days this year, but I said no, that's not something I want to be doing. That kind of brings me into sort of a scarcity mindset, especially like after I send a text to my friends and ask for money. Like I feel lesser, I feel like I shrink into sort of a contracted state. It's like, oh, are they gonna say yes? And all these things that come with it, right? It's just kind of a nasty place to be, and then it gets compounded by the fact that I'm not really using that money for something wholesome. You know what I mean? So today I asked my friend. So this is the first time I'm asking any of my friends for money this year. I asked one of my friends for some money, and you know, like I said, I felt the urge to ask for money come up. And, in the previous days this year, I kind of just brushed it off and said, no, you don't actually want to be doing that to yourself. But today, I'm not exactly sure what the reasons were, what the dynamics were, but the fact of the matter is that I did go ahead and I did ask him. I asked him for money. I typed out the text. Hey, can you lend me? In this case, it was $200. Can you lend me $200? It's all good if you say no. I sent him the text, and one thing that was different this time than the times that I've done it in the past is that I was very conscious throughout the whole process. I wanted to feel all the little sensations that come up for me when I do this thing of asking my friends for money. What happened was he said no. He said no, and he said no. I'm curious why, and I told him exactly why. It's because I had a desire to gamble and maybe make that 200 into a larger sum of money so that I can have more freedom to do stuff in life, go to restaurants, whatever. I don't know exactly what I was going to do with it. I knew that I wasn't going to drink, and maybe that's a topic for another video. Uh, the whole topic of alcohol and how um, I'm fully dead set on not drinking for at least this year. For the year of 2026, I'm not going to touch alcohol, but that's a topic for another video. Yeah, so he said no, and I told him what I would have used it for, and that was that. I'm very grateful to him for responding in a very straightforward manner. Um, I'm grateful that he allowed me to like experience what I experienced, to feel that desire to ask for money come up, to be able to ask it and feel all the sensations that come up for me, and come to a deeper clarity within myself as to why that's not something I want to be doing. So I had mentioned earlier in this video that in the back of my mind, it's something I didn't want to be doing this year, asking my friends for money or accruing any kind of debt. Now I will come out and say very concretely, it is something I will not do this year. This year, I'm just going to keep it to this year. I'm not going to go crazy and say for the rest of my life or anything like that. For this year of 2026, I will not borrow any money from any of my friends. Um, yeah, that's something I feel good about saying. Hmm. There's more I want to say about this pattern of feeling kind of constrained by money, asking friends for money, feeling guilty about asking them, feeling guilty about what I use their money to do, just the whole process. So like today, some of those things kind of came up within me, right? So I asked my friend for money. And then throughout the day, like, I didn't feel as bad as I felt before when I've asked for money. But I did have like nagging feelings of discomfort kind of come up. I think this all kind of happens on a very like subconscious level. Like when you re um, enter a pattern that you have made a habit of doing for a long time, and it's sort of accumulated a certain level of toxicity, let's say. When you re enter that pattern, like I did today, in terms of asking for money so that I could gamble, the kind of things within your psyche that are associated with that thing will kind of come to the surface. So I could just feel like a level of um, subtle anxiety. I felt pretty great overall, but I could feel that subtle anxiety. But I think what was beautiful today was I was able to feel all of those things in the full light of consciousness, not try to run away from them, not try to, bury them in any kind of way. Just allow them to come up so that I could feel it, feel, see them in full clarity, and come to a conclusion that that's not something I want to be engaging myself in going forward. So, in summary, I know this is kind of not that clear of a of a sharing, but in summary, I am grateful for today. And yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I hope some of that made sense. Maybe it'll make sense to me when I look back on it. But yeah, thank you so much.